I was abused. I'm not stupid. I was manipulated. I'm not even shy. I'm protecting myself. I'm not bitter. I'm speaking the truth. I'm not hanging on to my past. I've been damaged. I'm not delusional. I lived a freaking nightmare. I'm not weak. I was too trusting. And I'm not giving up. I'm healing. See, toxic people, they thrive on conflict. You know, they want you to be defending yourself, to be explaining yourself. They want you to react to every little thing that they throw at you. That's how they keep control. That's how they keep control, okay? But the power in that is you have to learn how to disengage. You have to learn how to stop feeding their chaos. Because they can't play the game if you're no longer on the field. Because it's a game to them. Right? I remember this time, right? This was years ago, right? Before I had my son, my second son. I was in this abusive friendship, you know? And I honestly thought that I was going crazy. I thought I was losing my mind, you know? When in fact, I was dealing with a toxic, right? Narcissistic clown. Okay? I was literally living in hell dealing with that person. He was my roommate, right? And, you know, people thought that we was in a relationship because he was going around telling people that. And I'm like, we're not in a relationship. But when I would tell them that, they wouldn't believe me. Because I don't know what he was telling them behind my back, but they didn't believe me. So I'm like, whatever. I stopped explaining it to myself. I stopped explaining it to people. Like, listen, I don't owe you guys no explanation. But this dude had me living in hell, right? Because if it wasn't in the morning that we didn't argue or we didn't have some type of disagreement, it would be in the evening, you know, before the night ended. It didn't matter what it was. It was always some type of conflict going on with me and this person, you know. And I'm like, listen, I ain't used to this, you know, this type of, you know, conflict, this type of chaos. My life was freaking a living hell, literally. You know, he made it so unbearable, right? That I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to be on this earth dealing with all that type of toxicity, all that type of manipulation and narcissistic abuse that I was dealing with. I was dealing with a monster and I didn't even know it. Because that's who he was to me. And he had people thinking differently, you know. And I'm not just talking about him. I'm talking about like narcissistic abuse from all kinds of people, right? And so, you know, at the time when I was dealing with him, for some reason, I felt obligated to him. I can't even lie. I don't know what made me feel like I was obligated to him. That made me keep dealing with him. That kept him as my roommate. That kept him around in my house, you know. But eventually, I got the strength up. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I was able to get him out. I starved him. I disengaged with him. And that's what you have to do with people who are toxic. Because they thrive on that. They need your attention. So you're going to have to, you know, disengage. Ooh, dang. You're going to have to disengage and stop playing on the field with them. You know, because that's how they keep you in control. You know, they do stuff like, you know, they try to flip timelines. They have you talking in circles, right? They never take accountability. And he wasn't the only one. He wasn't the first person I dealt with that did this to me. But in all honesty, he was the last. Because I ain't taking that, you know, because he literally anybody who's toxic will have you feeling like you're crazy. You know you ain't bugging out, when you know you ain't tripping. you know they're doing what they're doing, but they trying to make you seem like you don't, you know. So I knew I wasn't delusional, you know. I was just living a nightmare because I didn't realize who I was dealing with, you know. And I thought I did. I thought, you know, this is my friend, you know what I'm saying? But the reason that he got into my life is because I dealt with him based off of, you know, someone else's word that they gave me, you know, years ago. They vouched for him years ago. Like, oh no, he's a cool person. He's just going through this, that, and other, boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? He lost his mom, da, 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 he's just grieving, whatever. So, okay, fast forward to the time that he came to me with the proposition. Then I took their word because I remembered, oh, they said he whatever. So I took their word for it and I allowed him in. When I should have followed my intuition prior to and stuck to it, even though it was fast forwarded to a different time frame. You know, and so from here on out, or from that point on out, I'm going to say from that point on out, that really got me to where it was like, hey, I will not ever allow someone else to influence my decision or what my intuition spoke to me, no matter what they vouched for this person. You know, because I was abused, I was in toxic relationships, I was abandoned, I faced manipulation, I faced, you know, sexual abuse, all kind of abuse. And it made me not want to be here on this earth. I didn't want to live. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't. But because I thought I was losing my mind. You know what I'm saying? I was so damaged. I was so hurt. You know, I felt like I was going crazy. I couldn't sleep. You know, I was like, nah. And you know, they try to make you feel like you're delusional, you know, and you're not. It's just, that's their game. That's what they feed on. That's how they feed on you. You know what I'm saying? So you can't allow that. You have to, again, starve it, disengage, stop playing the field, you know. And some people really, this is how some people get their fix. That's how some people live. Some people get a fix on making other people miserable. They get a fix on it, you know, trying to make you feel like you're crazy, trying to have you feeling like you're defending yourself, causing all kinds of crazy trauma, you know, just chaos, toxicity, everything, right? And you know, you got to just, you know, disengage. Some people honestly get off on that. That is exactly how they do. They get off on that. So you just got to stop. You just got to stop feeding into, you know, whatever they say. You have to starve them. You have to leave them alone. Block, delete, erase them from out of your lives. Whatever it requires for you to have to do, but you have to do it. Because, you know, if I didn't, I'm telling you now, he would have taken me out. Okay? He would have been the reason I wouldn't be here today. Straight up. So if you have anybody that you're dealing with in your life like that, you know, I pray for your strength and your discernment to get them out of your life, if you haven't already. And then start your healing journey. You have to start your healing journey. And being in your healing journey is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. You know, it's a great, great thing. It's a hard process because you're going to have to unlearn a lot of stuff. But it's worth it. At the end of the day, it's worth it. You know, and if it wasn't for the Lord coming and scooping me up and, you know, and taking me up out of the muck and miry clay, if it wasn't for him turning my life around, placing my feet on solid ground, helping me to heal, helping me to realize who it is I am and not who it is people were saying I was. If it wasn't for them, you know, if it wasn't for him, you know, saving me, you know, getting me out of that situation, I wouldn't be here today. Because people were trying to dim my light. And I didn't know any better. So I was letting people dim my light. You know, whether it was friends, whether it was family, relationships, you know, friendships, certain jobs, whoever. And I was like, I thought, you know, saying they wouldn't do anything to hurt me because they like me. Because I'm a good person, you know. I treat them well, you know. And all these great things about me that I felt like I attributed to our relationship, our contact with each other, but that wasn't the case. You know, some people are honestly threatened or intimidated by the light that you carry. You know, because that's your light upon a dark world. And, you know, I didn't know that then, you know what I'm saying? But I felt like there was something inside of me, but I didn't know exactly what it was. You know, I didn't have a spiritual or a church background. I didn't grow up on that. So sometimes I was walking on guard. I was walking around having God in my heart, you know, from the people who hurt me. excuse me, I was guarding my heart from the people who hurt me, you know. And then those same people that I had a guard up on, they didn't like me protecting myself from the abuse that they caused. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't have the access to me that they once did. And then they started saying things like, oh, you're being so mean. Oh, you're being so hard to deal with. You're so stubborn and all this type of stuff, which that's not true. It's just manipulation. You know, they didn't want me to guard my heart. They didn't want me to set those boundaries and tell them no, because they were benefiting off of my light, off of my presence, which is a blessing, right? So they were manipulators. You know, they just wanted to deceive and trample all over me. And when I'm like, no, I was not made for you to do that. No, I'm not going to be treated like that. They didn't like it. Now I'm called all these types of things that's not true about me. And no, we're not crazy. We're not stupid. We're not dumb. We're not weak. We're just dealing with toxic people. So if you got somebody in your life that's toxic, you're going to have to make the necessary moves to get them out of your life. Because people want to take advantage of you. They do. Because they see something in us, right? That we may not see, or that we don't know that we have yet. For those of you, you know, they see something in us. But you have to wake up. You got to wake up to your spiritual gifts. Because we all have them. We all have them. And I hope and pray for you that you will wake up to, you know, this truth about yourself. Because we were made on purpose for a purpose. God made us marvelous. We are made wonderful. We are more than a conqueror. And this is a spiritual fight that we are fighting. Because the weapons of the warfare, they're not carnal. They're spiritual. You know, I'm finding my little scriptures on the wall. Got my little, you know, prayer wall over here. So we must wear the full armor of God. You know, we got to stand against the wiles of the enemy, of the devil, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the powers, against rulers of darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. Excuse me. That's coming from Ephesians 6:10-12. But you can read the whole Ephesians 6 chapter. And so, no, we're not crazy. No, we're not. We're not crazy. We're not bitter. You know, we're not delusional. We were just dealing with toxic people. And so we have to learn how to walk away from people like that. Don't look back either. Don't look back, right? And also, don't feel guilty nor bad for doing what you got to do what's right for you. Period. Period. And remember, you can't play the game. If you're no longer on the field, you know, if you're no longer on the field, you can't play the game. So get off the field, turn away, walk away, and deuces. And don't look back. So I hope that helps. I just wanted to share that with you guys on today. And if it did, can you do me a favor? Can you give me a like, thumbs up? If you feel led. And if you feel led, also leave a comment. Let me hear some stories about you. And, you know, are you walking away from anybody and anyone that's in your life that's toxic? You know, are you on your healing journey? And if so, again, I would like to hear from you guys. You know, guess what? It's free. It's free to leave a comment, to hit the like button. So I hope that helps. And if it resonated with you, again, like I said, like, comment, and hey, let me hear from you, okay? And before I leave, guys, oh my gosh, I just want to share some good news with you. I am in the process of making my first ebook, and I'm calling it The Narcissist Detox and Confidence Comeback Blueprint. Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh my goodness. I am so excited and I cannot wait to share it to the world. You know, I'm down to my last like 3 or 4 chapters. So I'm going to do my best to finish it up on tonight when I get back in. Ooh, excuse me. When I get back in, so I can be ready to present it to the world. Ooh. So I can only hope that you guys will support me. I really do. And I thank you for watching. And I look forward to seeing you in my next videos, okay? And like I said before, don't forget to like, okay? And give this video a thumbs up if you feel led. Comment, okay? Because I would like to hear from you. Okay, guys? And until next time, I hope you have a prosperous day. I thank you. I appreciate you. And bye. Support. But I'll be keeping you guys posted on when it's finished. Thank you.